Well, let's continue our examination of this design and see if we can solve a couple of other issues that our designer has raised. You may be able to see, I'll zoom out a little, at certain zoom factors you can see in this area through here, some ragged looking arcs. If we click on them here, you can see there were some overlapping arcs here. The way to check that is to put a crossing box there and then just check into the properties box here, and you can see there are in fact 3 arcs in. I took that area and grabbed everything that went across there, so we can safely delete that one. Again, if I do that, there are still 2 arcs there. Whoops, undo that, and there's another little one in this area here which can be removed. I need to be a little careful there not to use the crossing window this time, because I do in fact want to delete that one. So you can see that area there looks very much cleaner. And here's an example, another example. So we're just cleaning up the drawing a little. I think there might even be another one here, and we'll eliminate that one. So that's important. The other thing to note here, or I note, is that points have been used to divide up this line, which is an excellent idea. But if once the point's been placed and used as the target for the end of a line, we really don't want to print that. Way to deal with that one, go to Format, Point Styles, and we're currently set as an X through the point. We've got a number of options here. We could just say we want a single pixel, and you'll notice that the point marker will then disappear. And it's still there. If we put an inclusive window around there, it still has a point there. So there's no need to remove things, but you can just hide things like that. I think there might even be another little arc there, so I'm just cleaning things up as I go. Now I suspect that there's a group of plants planted in that hole there. It's not central to it, but let's imagine that we wanted that central in the central circle or arc. So what I'll do is I'll just set up a crossing window like so. And again, there are all 2 circles, 1 arc and 1 circle. So we'll leave the circle there, but we want to remove the arc. If I click on the arc now, it runs around in that direction. So if I pick here, that's the circle. I should be able to put a crossing window, grab both, hold my Shift key down, and eliminate the circle from the selection set. And now I should be able to eliminate that. So we're just left with the circle. While I'm at it, it's worth colouring something like that. Let's imagine it's some Corten steel. So we can set the colour to an appropriate dark brown colour. We'll just choose colour 45, and we'll then add a fairly thick line to it. I'll exaggerate a bit by 0.5, and so we have a sort of a marker in that area. This clump of plants is centered now in the center there, and it will print or be visualized quite easily. If we move down a little, our designer tells me that he's having trouble hatching this area with a pebble hatching. The first thing to do is to go to the draw drop down, pick the hatch, and that pops up a whole series of hatch pattern files. And these are in fact AutoCAD files, and they have a whole lot of different patterns in it. The best one to start with would be, because this is a design from the metric area, we will take gcad-iso.pat and we'll open it up so that the hatch pattern is now attached to this drawing, and we're after some sort of pebble or rubble. Let's just take rubble first. And when we do that, this little box pops up. We select the entity first. That's the hatch here, then hit enter. So we've set one particular hatch pattern called rub. And what we now need to do is to adjust the density. 590 is far too high. Try and get that density down to something like 5 or 4, 5, 6, about in that area, a lot lower. We don't want a massive series of dots. That can overwhelm GCAD Plus and might even crash the drawing. So we want to add to that scale. If we go to 10, keep your eye on the density. See how the density is decreasing. And if we make it 100, with a bit of luck, that may work. And it didn't. It's still way, way too high. And we need, let's go up in big steps, 1,000. So there we have a very angular pattern here. And let's roughly indicate. Remember, this is just a pattern. These are not, although it's drawn some polygons, or almost, the little gaps between them. So it's 3 meters. So they're big stones, or some of them are big stones. Maybe you might want to make that 2,000. So the point that I'm making is that there's some fiddling around to do. So clearly we want to go to, say, 500. And that now indicates a mass of stone. Now, you don't really want to overwhelm it. So the background stays, the polyline, if we select the polyline now, it has a color, 254. You can, of course, change that color, and the hatch pattern is in there. So let's imagine we want it, let's change the hatch pattern. We can do that in the properties box. We can just pick, because the file is attached, we could say we'll use river rock, and we should now get some different stone patterns. See each of these pattern files comes from different designers, and the scale, you just have to fiddle the scale so to get the effect you want. So let's make it 50, and now we have a mass of river rock, rounded rocks. So that, to my eye, almost overwhelms the design. So what I'm going to do is change the color of the river rock, and I'll go to select a color. We can choose an appropriate color. Let's come here somewhere and OK that. Notice that the hatch is still there, but it's very, very faint. What I'd like to show now, before we fix that little thing up, is if I pick the polyline, hatching is associative. That means very neatly you can move these vertices around and adjust, I'll try that again, and adjust the hatching. Bit hard to get hold of. We can just move the hatching around. So as we change the vertices of that polyline. The hatching comes with us, so that's very handy. Once that's done, I'd be inclined to change the colour, the fill of the, not the fill, the colour of the polyline. Make it very, very faint. You could even pick the white colour, and let's escape out of there. And there's our quite delicate and fine hatch pattern running through here. So I hope that helps handle hatch patterns in your own environment.